Meeting the Amherst Township Trustees called to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Abraham?
Here.
Lynch?
Here.
Euring?
Yes.
Kish? All here. We have the meeting minutes from the June 14th Amherst Township regular meeting that was called to order at 7:05 p.m. by Lynch. Pledge to the flag, roll call, Abraham, Lynch, Euring, Kish present. Also in attendance was Case Marshall, Ashley, G. Lynch, C. Nyhart, J. Wilhelm, Deputy Marusa, and Deputy Bargeheiser. 6-122, a motion by Abraham, seconded by Euring, to approve the May 24th, 2022 regular meeting minutes as corrected. All ayes. 6-222, a motion by Euring, seconded by Abraham, moved to approve the bills and financial reports with reservations. All ayes. Fiscal Officer Kish noted we are in receipt of the Otarma renewal invoice for the year and the option to increase liability limits. Since we did that last year, increasing this year was not necessary. Chris also noted she would begin the 2023 budget preparation this weekend, and she will possibly have documents shared with the trustees as early as this weekend. The deadline to submit the 2023 budget to the auditor is July 20th, 2022. If info can get out this weekend, that gives us 2 meetings for approval. Trustee Lynch noted that packets contain correspondence regarding HB 377 and HB 206, both advance the authority and funding of townships in Ohio. HB 377 distributes the second round of American Rescue Plan. House Bill 206 will allow townships to pass a resolution authorizing a township officer to make arrests on an interstate in their township. There were no audience concerns. There was no correspondence. Under reports, under ambulance, Trustee Abraham noted there will be a meeting on June 16th, 2022 at 7 p.m. at the Amherst Fire Station. Under Sheriff, Deputy Bargeheiser introduced himself as our new Township Community Policing Officer. Under Zoning, Trustee Lynch noted that our Zoning Inspector, Remy Cerrone, has turned in his resignation effective Wednesday, June 15th, 2022, following his meeting with the prosecutor on a zoning issue already scheduled. Redwood Group has met with the Zoning Inspector to learn about the Township zoning process for their portion of the Sandstone development. They have been given contact information for Kristen Brandon with the Lorain County Planning Commission for more in-depth information on the Lorain County subdivision requirements. The Zoning Commission Design Review approved the 2 billboards at the June 7th, 2022 meeting. Under Road, Park, and Cemetery, Road Superintendent Smarsh reported that they are currently working on trimming and mowing the parks and cemeteries. Contacted the county for striping of edge and center lines on our roads, and also contacted Traft, and between the two, our roads will be taken care of. 2 catch basins being rebuilt, ditch project in the works. Road overhang, trimming of trees, and roadside mowing continue. Discussions ensued on the OPWC Round 37 funding. 1 grant request will include resurfacing of Oberlin Road from Middle Ridge to North Ridge Road. Oberlin Road resurfacing will be completed after Lorain County completes sanitary sewer extension. A 2nd grant will be requested for additional concrete replacement in the Hidden Valley subdivision area. Under Township Administrator, Administrator Ashley noted the cemetery grant paperwork has been completed. We received a $1,000 grant, and Kevin was very frugal on expenses with labor and the grant totaling $1,280.51. The new chairs have been ordered and should arrive on June 28th. There was some paperwork sent over for the tenant for rental assistance, and Linda is currently working on that. Under Phase 2, Trustee Lynch noted that packets contain information from the Stormwater District regarding the delay in getting the MOUs for the community grants out to the townships. The delay is a result of the Stormwater District Board investigating the leverage of additional funds from the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, sometimes referred to as the Federal Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. With the delay, it may also delay our 2022 Batten House Ditch Restoration Project into next year, 2023. Complaints are being handled by the designated individuals. Under new business, Trustee Euring noted the Lorain County Solid Waste District Policy Committee met today. The collection of recycled materials has dropped overall to 19% of the total curbside collection tonnage, which is lower than the goal of 25%. August 9th, 2022 is the next Policy Committee meeting. The grant application MOU will be turned in a timely manner. 6-3-2022, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Abraham, Move to enter executive session at 7:57 PM according to ORC Sections 121.22G1 to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official, specifically the position of zoning inspector. All ayes. 6:422, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Abraham. Move to return from executive session at 8:53 PM. All ayes. 6:522, a motion by Urick, seconded by Lynch. Move to accept the resignation of zoning inspector Remy Cerrone effective Wednesday, June 15th, 2022 at 11:59 PM. All ayes. 6:622, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Urick. Move to authorize Township Administrator Linda Ashley to handle the duties of zoning inspector until a replacement zoning inspector is available. All ayes. The next regularly scheduled meeting will be Tuesday, June 28th, 2022 at 7 PM at the Amherst Township Hall. 6:722, a motion by Urick, seconded by Abraham to adjourn at 8:55 PM. All ayes.
We can have a motion to approve the June 14th meeting minutes as read.
So moved.
Second.
Abraham?
Yes.
Urick?
Yes.
Lynch?
Yes.
Okay, so then I have the Amherst Township meeting minutes from the special trustee meeting held on June 18th, 2022. The meeting was called to order at 8 a.m. by Chairman Lynch. Roll call Lynch, Abraham Kish present, Urick absent. Also attending R. Cerrone and S.D. Ambrosio. The pledge to the flag and reading of prior meeting minutes were deferred to the regular meeting. The meeting was called to hold an executive session regarding the following item: to consider the appointment, employment, and compensation of a public employee for the position of Amherst Township Zoning Inspector pursuant to ORC 121.22G1. 6:822. Motion by Lynch, seconded by Abraham. Move to enter into an executive session at 8:02 a.m. according to ORC Sections 121.22G1 to consider the appointment, employment, specifically the position of Amherst Township Zoning Inspector. All ayes. 6:922. A motion by Lynch, seconded by Abraham. Move to return from executive session at 8:10 a.m. All ayes. 6:1022. A motion by Lynch, seconded by Abraham. Move to approve zoning inspector personnel addition and succession management. Section 1. Mr. Sam D. Ambrosio is appointed to the position of zoning inspector at a wage class B, $24.01 an hour in CY 22, current year. Is that current year 22 for up to 20 hours per week, conditional on passing all pre-employment investigation, performance tests, and examinations required by the trustees. Mr. D'Ambrosio's employment shall begin on June 18, 2022. Section 2, Mr. Remy Cerrone is appointed to the temporary position of Assistant Zoning Inspector at wage class B, $24.01 an hour in CY 22 for up to 9 hours per week. Mr. Cerrone's employment shall be retroactive to 11:59 p.m. on June 15, 2022. The main purpose of the temporary Assistant Zoning Inspector shall be to provide training of Mr. D'Ambrosio until such time as he feels comfortable in performing the role of Zoning Inspector independently. All ayes. Next meeting, Tuesday, June 28th, 2022 at 7 p.m. at the Amherst Township Hall. 6:1122, a motion by Abraham, seconded by Lynch to adjourn at 8:15 a.m. All ayes.
Okay, if there's no changes or corrections to June 18th special trustee meeting, can I have a motion to approve as read?
So moved.
Second.
Abraham?
Yes.
Urick?
Yes.
Lynch?
Yes.
You guys have in front of you the credit card statement for May. Nothing out of the ordinary. I have all of the receipts.
You want us to approve that first,
Sure.
then, Chris? Okay, then I'll make a motion that the credit card account transaction detail has been reviewed per policy, and the card statement is accepted as presented, subject to investigation.
Second.
Lynch?
Yes.
Urick?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
And you also have in front of you financials. You have the payment listing for this second half of the month. Everything is pretty standard other than the Otarma yearly renewal for our insurance. Everything else is pretty boilerplate. And then also, we have our revenue to date of $794,099.71, And our expenditures are $719,176.17.
You have, and Chris, I neglected to check this time. I certainly hope the governor's probably signed it by now, but the second tranche of the ARPA fund?
We have not gotten that yet.
Okay. Yeah, I don't see anything here, so I know they were hoping that it'd come in by this summer.
Nothing yet.
Okay. And I neglected to ask on the revenue for the 2023 proposed budget. I didn't have that on our agenda to check that. Did you show that as revenue there?
No, because we'll get it this year. We'll have to amend this year's budget.
Hope we get it this year.
Right.
Okay, but it'll change that carryover
I asked the
amount.
same question, and I'm like going, wait a minute, I know the answer.
Yeah, and so you already, then it's already shown in the carryover
Yes.
amount going into
Yes.
2023?
Yes.
Okay. Are there any other questions on payments or financial reports?
No, I have
If
none.
not, can I have a motion to pay the bills and approve the financial reports with reservation?
So move.
I'll second it.
Euring,
Yes.
Abraham,
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes. Okay, anything else there, Chris?
Yes, I wanted to let you know that the preliminary forms have been sent and filed for the virtual monitoring / audit of the coronavirus funds for 2020 and 2021. And I also received correspondence from the Ohio Division of Liquor Control for Dragon Ranch Golf Club regarding a request for a hearing, if we so chose, for a liquor permit.
Okay.
That I need to send that paperwork back with your wishes.
Let's just take them one at a time. Then, as far as the coronavirus relief funds, I'm still not sure I saw the same correspondence that Chris saw, and she did send our ledgers in, which was good, which is the first step. But this virtual audit they're talking about, I don't know what that's going to come down to, if they start asking questions after they receive the ledger.
And it was quite interesting because they responded that they thank you for getting back so quickly, and we've got your information. You'll probably hear from us in a couple of months.
Okay.
I was like,
Hurry up and wait.
it's like, okay, that'll be
Well,
October.
We don't want to be the ones that don't send it in or send it in
Right.
late, David.
Right.
That was a concern, and I was
Well, yeah,
really
yeah,
impressed.
yeah.
Chris got it in right away. So it's within that
Appreciate
day, she sent the information to them.
Yes.
So they do have it, and Linda's not here. She's left already for the day, but between the two of them, they'll have the documentation. And we pretty much, on every major expenditure, there's a resolution backing it up.
Well, and I not only sent the paperwork they requested out of UAN, the ledgers, but I also sent our backup Excel. So, I mean,
Okay.
they're going to know
Yeah.
we're pretty precise to the penny, so.
And if they get to the point of wanting to see every
Right.
resolution, they can get that too.
Right.
Okay. And then as far as your second item, as far as the liquor license at Dragon Ranch, I have no need for a hearing. David and Denny?
No.
No, I have no
Okay, I
problems
will
with
send in
the
the paperwork, thank you.
All right.
place.
Anything else there, Chris?
I'm good.
Okay. But this time we are going to have a presentation for the final development of Phase 1 of the sandstone development. But before we do that, I just wanted to ask, is there anybody here that has any issue to bring before the trustees? Okay. Well then, we're going to first go right into that presentation, but Georgianne, you need some time, or?
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, John.
John got
Good evening. I appreciate you taking the time to at least allow me to talk with you a bit. I didn't come prepared with a presentation. I know that most of us have sat in on the zoning presentations, so I didn't want to go into all that. I think mainly tonight I'd like to offer I'm here, and I'd love to answer any questions that might have come up between the last meeting and this meeting, and hopefully I have an answer for whatever you might be thinking about.
Okay, and just so that anyone that's watching this meeting or in the audience, if they really wanted to see the previous presentations that Mr. Evanson is referring to, they go to the Amherst Township website under Community Development. They'll see both the April 5th and May 3rd, 2022 presentation before the Amherst Township Zoning Commission. So the full record is there, John.
Yep. And I think I don't want to belittle that presentation. That's more of the county road that they're going to be working on and putting in. So if it was, I guess I was looking at it more as the subdivision work we would present more so, but that one,
Yeah.
It's.
Yeah, they got more detailed there than I thought they were going to be. And that's really what this is, since you're doing in phases, more the first phase for the road for Sandstone.
Correct.
You'll go through the same thing again now for the next subdivision with those Ryan homes that you're having put in. I believe it's 43 lots that you've got there.
That's correct. And that presentation, I mean, obviously we'll do it through zoning, but certainly, I guess I'm remiss to not come tonight with a better presentation than zero that I'm giving you now. So.
Yeah, well, I did have a question because I was trying to capture all of the items that were discussed during those meetings that weren't shown on the plans but were agreed to at the meeting. And I don't think the zoning commission listed them in their actual motion, but just to cover them, there was the commitment to the left-hand turn lane on Oberlin Road for northbound traffic entering the subdivision. There was discussion about a concern with the detention basin closest to Oberlin Road, about some protection to minimize traffic that diverts off the road from going in there. And I think you talked about a 3-foot earthen berm. This resolution leaves it open if it's an earthen berm or whatever you put in there.
A barrier.
Some sort of barrier. There was a discussion from some residents very concerned with the drainage being disrupted, and you said you'd take care of that, whatever that is. I guess the one resident even said he could point out where that drainage has been disrupted in the past. I assume that was from agriculture work there. I really don't know what he's referring to.
Those items, I know that when you sent the resolution over to me, I did review those. I know that they're on there, and I certainly agree with them. The last one, I did meet with Mr. Pilarch on his home site about a week ago.
Okay.
And we did talk about some of the stormwater lines that previously ran through his property from the old apple orchard and things like that. So us and him now are definitely on the same page of how we can make sure that he doesn't get into trouble and we can move forward with our project. He does have his sump pump currently draining into some areas that now are going to be developed. So I said, well, we're going to work with you to make sure you have an access point now into our pond versus just going into the northern property line, things like that.
Oh, good. Yeah, I didn't realize, and that's good, because the reality is the way you're redirecting the stormwater should help him, but yeah, he would need that outlet.
Yeah, so we actually met for a couple of hours, and he showed me some things on site, very helpful, and it was a good meeting. And I think he would say that too if he was here tonight.
Okay, and then the last one, as far as the hydrant, and our fire prevention officer and fire chief are here, and you had actually mentioned this. I know there was a lot of discussion going on between the fire department. I didn't actually capture that in the meeting, so I don't know if it's correct on this resolution. I just said closer to the intersection with Oberlin Road, because the development already shows utilities with the fire hydrant in the area, but was the decision to put an additional one or relocate it?
Yeah, I had spoke early on with, I can't remember the gentleman's name to the north. He has the...
Paul.
That's it, exactly. Paul's a great guy, very nice guy. And we had spoke early on about the situation that he has with his existing gas tanks, and he's running a commercial business there also, and the lack of having a fire hydrant in front of his facility. I know that the fire department has to provide a rig that they fill up with water and bring it. we felt that the best thing for everyone, including Mr. Bossman early on, was to get a hydrant to the property line, our northern property line. So what we agreed to do is the second phase of, when we do the turning lanes and things like that, we're also going to extend that line up to Bossman's
Okay.
south property line.
Okay. So are we okay to just leave it close to the intersection of Overland Road and Sandstone Parkway?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the intent is to make sure there's a hydrant there to service that, that manufacturing area or commercial use or what have you.
David, do you have any questions?
My concern, in general, I'm just not in favor of putting all the traffic onto Oberlin Road. I know that came out early in the plans. The plans were that there'd be an outlet on Oberlin. I wishing there would be outlet onto 58 and possibly at some point out to 113 rather than putting all that traffic onto Oberlin. Use that as traffic control. Second item is on the plans it shows that the current intersection is to be located pretty much in front of one existing house, a little bit to the north, I would say, about where the driveway comes out. And a little taken back by that. I thought was to get these intersections away from houses so you don't have T intersections in front of people's houses. And it's there. It's there. I'm not pleased about that. That intersection would be moved particularly south between the two existing houses. You know, if somebody would build a house in between the two existing houses across the street in front of the intersection, well, they built in front of an intersection. Right now, these people, they don't have an intersection, and now there's going to be an intersection in front of their house. And I don't think that's fair to them. Look, I don't know how you could buffer it, but right now, so I'm not happy about that. That's probably my number one peeve right now is that intersection. That, in general, just putting the traffic onto Oberlin Road and the whole design concept.
Denny? Yeah.
No, I have nothing.
Okay. If not, Kevin, roads, fires, anything?
The only question is, like the one we had the other day, when you start building over there, are we gonna have water available in that?
Absolutely. One of the first things they're going to do is tap the main water system up by the turnpike and bring it down into this first phase.
Now, I have one question for you. What is your construction timetable on that road?
Well, let me address all three of your questions. The first one is the traffic, the road that's going through. Right now, the main thing that'll occur is traffic's going to be coming off of Oberlin to service the construction of this first phase of the road. And then the spring of next year, the rest of the road will go out to 58. So there won't be a lot of people traffic, a lot of home traffic and that type of thing going out to Oberlin by the time that road goes all the way through. So that should help the traffic issue off Oberlin. The other item is the intersection. We put the intersection there primarily because there's an existing wetland on the south side of where we proposed the road, and then Polarsha is on the north. So we tried to get it, we pushed that road down to the north or south as far as we could to keep away from Polarsha's property. But I understand there's somebody being affected by the road placement, but we can't push it any further to the south. So, so now the timing. What's happening is the county is actually going to install the road that connects 58 to Oberlin. So right now we have it designed. We're getting our final approval, hopefully tonight. If we do, then we can refer that to the county and they can go ahead and move forward with their final approvals. They're going to send that out to bid. They have a 60-day bid process. Once it gets through the bid process, then they're going to have to make a determination if there's enough time this year to get the road in before the snow flies. If not, it'll be in the spring of next year.
Okay. Zoning, Remy and Sam, and by the way, since Sam, this is John Evanson. John is Sam.
Nice to meet you, Sam.
Joe, our new-
I was going to try to apply for the job, but you beat me to it. So.
Yeah, you guys will be meeting a lot, seeing each other a lot, but any questions from zoning?
Nope.
Okay, that being the case, then I'm going to make a motion that the Board of Trustees pursuant to Amherst Township Zoning Resolution Article 1200, Plan Development District, finds and determines that it is in the best interest of the township to approve the Amherst Consolidated Properties Phase 1 Sandstone Development Final Development Plan in the findings of the Zoning Commission, including a left-hand turn lane for Overland Road northbound traffic, left-hand turn lane for Overland Road northbound traffic shall be provided at the Sandstone Parkway intersection, although the turning lane will not be required during the Phase 1 construction. A 3-foot earthen berm or such other protection acceptable to the township at the stormwater detention basin nearest Overland Road to minimize the probability of motor vehicle departures ending up in the detention basin, ensuring drainage at adjacent properties is not negatively impacted if underground drain tiles are disturbed during construction, and locating a fire hydrant close to Overland Road, Sandstone Parkway intersection. That'll actually be further to the north, closer to Mr. Bossman's property. Section 2, all construction shall be consistent with the settlement agreement by and between Amherst Township Board of Trustees, Amherst Consolidated Properties LLC, Consolidated Investors Group LLC, and Consolidated Investors Group 2 LLC for the Sandstone Plan Development District in Preliminary Development Plan, settling Lorraine County Common Pleas Court Case Number 20 CV 200199 pursuant to Revised Code Section 505.07. Section 3, this approved Phase 1 Sandstone Development Final Development Plan shall become for the proposed development a binding commitment of the specific elements approved for development. The approved development plan may be transferred to another person, corporation, or group of individuals or corporations prior to the issuance of a building permit. A request for such transfer or change of ownership shall be presented to the zoning inspector and granted only if new ownership entity satisfies the administrative, financial, legal, and all other performance guarantees approved with the original development plan. All construction and development under any building permit shall be in accordance with the approved plan, and any departure from such plan shall be cause for revocation of the zoning certificate. Any changes in an approved plan shall be resubmitted for approval in accordance with Amherst Township Zoning Resolution Article 1200 Plan Development District. The rest is all boilerplate, so that'll be my motion.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? Okay, roll call, Chris?
Lynch?
Yes?
Abraham?
Yes.
Gehrig?
No.
Just out of curiosity, David, can you give us a reason for the no?
The intersection in front of the house and in general the concept of all that traffic on Oberlin Road. Earlier.
Thank you.
What is that resolution?
6/17/22.
And John, if you need a certified copy, Chris can get you one, or if she can email it to you if
That'd
you
be
prefer
great.
that. You've got his email, Chris?
I'm sure I can get it.
Okay. Well, I sure appreciate your time tonight.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Okay, I've actually got this under correspondence, even though it's a appointment to the zoning commission, but the correspondence was from Jim McCann, who served on our zoning commission for quite some time, including as the secretary for the zoning commission. And you can read it's attached to the resolution, but it's just, I think Jim's found out, being the chief of police, and Lorraine is consuming considerably more of his time, so that he's indicated to me verbally he still wants to be involved in the township in the future, but he can't commit to when that'll be. So I told him we wouldn't forget him when an opening comes up, and if the time is more conducive where he's got time available to, and since he's a resident in the township, to serve in some capacity here in the Amherst Township. But in any case, what this resolution is doing is appointing Remy Cerrone, who's resigned as the zoning inspector, to the zoning commission, but it won't be effective till Remy resigns as the assistant zoning inspector, which will really be a determination by Sam D'Ambrosio, our current zoning inspector, that he feels comfortable enough. He's seen enough of the activity that comes through the zoning office that he can go on his own. Realize that once Remy's here, it's not like he's dropping off the face of the earth. He'll be available to help Sam, but Remy's also self-employed, so once he no longer has set hours, his business may make it difficult for him to get right back to Sam at a time convenient for Sam. So we've got this crossover training, and then once Sam says it's okay, Remy will take the position that's been vacated by Jim McCann. So I'm going to make a motion that Mr. Remy Cerrone, who lives in the unincorporated area of the township at 1250 K Drive, Lorraine, Ohio, shall be appointed to the Township Zoning Commission to complete a current open term, such term expiring on December 31st, 2023. This resolution shall immediately become effective upon Mr. Cerrone's resignation as Assistant Zoning Inspector. If the trustees do not appoint a successor for Mr. Cerrone at the end of his term, Mr. Cerrone shall serve until a successor is appointed and qualified. So that'll be my motion.
I'll second that.
Okay, is there any other discussion on this? Okay, then roll call, Chris.
Lynch?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
And that's 6:18.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we'll move on to reports then. Ambulance, Denny?
Well, we met on, when did we meet? June 17th,
That's what I recall.
and we were together for about an hour. We met at the Amherst Fire Station. Jim was there. But it was a productive meeting, and we're just having one meeting a month, one a year now. And so that's important for everyone to realize. We're just having one meeting a year. And we discussed some things, and I don't know what else to tell you. The meeting was good, it was profitable, and that's all I'll say.
Okay, the sheriff's not here. Zoning? Remy, are you or Sam doing this?
It could be both of us, actually. We had 23 permits for the month, and we had 11 new homes. 11 new homes this month, which brings our total up to 14 year-to-date. And on July 5th at 6:30, the zoning commission will meet for an informal with Mr. Richardson for Redwood. So this,
What was that last point there, Remy?
on July 5th, the zoning commission is going to meet at 6:30 for an informal meeting with Redwood to discuss. He's going to just tell us what he's all about. probably get his application in for his design review for August.
Okay, now the 11 of the homes were in
All of
that
them.
development.
Yeah, all 11 were at Hampshire Farms.
Okay, very good. But we had a total of 14 homes.
We have a total of 14 year-to-date.
Okay, thank you, Remy.
And just, Chris, for you, with Redwood coming in, that's going to be the portion of this whole sandstone development that was just discussed, but they'll be selling that. Redwood will be installing or proposing townhomes in there up along the turnpike. So you've seen the overall plan, but if you've got any questions relative to the safety and dealing with that, and I know you've already talked with them on the turn radii and whatnot that you need for the vehicles.
Is that the road that he proposed tonight is a county road, county specs, right?
Yes.
Is the county
It-
putting that in, or are they?
Yes.
putting it in?
Here.
County's bidding it, and it's gonna be an asphalt road with concrete curb and gutters. And
Phase 1.
the portion they're showing right now is about 3,600 feet, so it won't interconnect with 58 yet, because they were waiting on a permit to cross over a small section of wetlands there. So they were hoping to get the road in, which would then open up the potential of the construction for the feeder roads where the housing would be built in the residential section. They need the full connection because the commercial will then be further to the west, closer to 58. But as you just heard explained, depending upon the county's timing and getting it bid, getting their bids in, they may end up putting the whole road in anyway if they get delayed till the next year.
So at one point, the discussion was, the intention was to put this road in, this connector road, part of it in, so that they can get back to where they're gonna build, or where they wanna build townhouses?
Well, it could be, but it was the first one even before the townhouses. They proposed, and it's Ryan Homes, is my understanding, is they're talking about 43 sublots then on another feeder road that will go south of the Sandstone Parkway.
And that's this other group that's gonna be here on July 5th?
No, on
July 5th is
no,
Redwood.
July is Redwood, that's the multifamilies.
Okay.
And then in August, that's going to be the one for that Spline Road that you're talking about.
And there's a chance in August, but most likely it'd be September, that Redwood would then come in with their formal preliminary development plan, but we don't know. So they're coming in for an informal in July to present to the
Yeah.
zoning commission, you know, what they've got before they detail things out.
Right.
But then they'll formally have to come to future meeting, which will be either August or September. But they've got to get their plans in to the zoning inspector for review at least 30 days prior to that August meeting. So I suspect they'll probably be more likely on September. But the portion of the 43 home sublot, that will be at the August zoning commission meeting. And that obviously, right now, their planning is that would go in before Redwood. But certainly Redwood could go in too, because both of those entrances are within that 3,600-foot length of Sandstone Parkway going from Oberlin Road heading to the west. So I think at this point, Chris, they've got a lot of unknowns since they don't control the whole project.
Right.
Okay.
I didn't know if they were gonna, I mean, they said they're gonna put that connector road in. From what I gathered at one of the meetings, they were gonna put a temporary road in so that they could access that, start putting utilities in, and get back to where they need to put these townhouses at. Sorry.
Yeah, the road, yeah, you're talking about, it's gonna be, they're temporaries, just like they've done in the others. You're just talking the stone so that they can get their equipment back,
Right.
get all the utilities in place before they actually pour the road.
Right.
But yeah, that'll keep the developer for the utilities can get their extension going, but till the county now goes through and bids this out, they can't construct anything else. You know, so there'll be no housing units put up until after the county's completed that road. The lights will be going up in that time too. We haven't seen that lighting plan yet.
No.
So there's still some steps to go through. But again, it's, as he just said, they may end up putting the whole road all the way through, depending upon how things fall in place time-wise. But they just didn't want to be delayed waiting on that EPA and Corps permit to get the road through, is what they presented to the zoning commission in the past.
Okay.
So that's why they proposed doing the first 3,600 feet.
Okay.
Okay?
And we had, the chief had talked to John Evanson yesterday or today about the Hampshire farms. We're not sure if the hydrants were turned on or not, so we're trying to get an answer. He told us we got to call Bob Kleiber from the
For
engineer.
the county with, yeah,
Because they're the ones that control the,
for the
Yeah,
water and
it's gonna be their
sewer.
lines.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a whole learning process of who's responsible for what, and
Yeah, well, that's somewhat new also, and that was all part of a negotiation between the county and the city of Lorraine in that particular area.
okay. The only other thing I have is July 1st, 2022, new fireworks laws come into effect. So they're upping the class of fireworks that you're allowed to use. So if you're buying them, you don't have to transport them out of state. You can light them off right here in Ohio. Just be careful. So in the city of Amherst, the city has adopted a resolution or an ordinance that says no fireworks in the city. The township, I'm not sure if you guys have anything on record besides what the state requirement is.
No, the only thing we've got is a noise resolution.
Okay.
And that's it. It's, as far as even in the past, we've had complaints about fireworks, but, you know, it's always an enforcement thing. And in our enforcement is the sheriff's department, and, you know, they can't be every place. They try to go to the larger offenders. For the most part, they first ask them to shut it down. They usually go away for a few minutes and come back, and people either have or haven't. Those that have shut it down, great. Those that don't, that's when all they get cited and all of their materials taken away.
It's hard to take it away because if the sheriff takes their material away, the sheriff has to say, have some place to take it and
Yeah,
drop it off, which,
and they're not always consumer grade.
yeah, there's a lot of homemade stuff too, so.
Yeah, so I mean, even the city of Amherst knows the problem's enforcement,
It is.
you know,
It is,
but they've
but-
got their own force right there. You know, the sheriff spread out throughout the whole county.
Oh, I'm sure it's a busy day for them too, on the
Yeah.
4th of July, so. But if you have them, just be careful.
Anything else? All right, thanks, Chris.
You're welcome.
I want to take that as a fire prevention officer's report then?
Yes.
Okay. All right, roads, parks, and cemeteries, Superintendent Smarsh.
We just been mowing, trimming, did a round of roadside mowing. I met with the contractor on the Oberlin Road sewer where the laterals had been settling. I wasn't able to get over there today, but they were supposed to possibly had them fixed today. If not, good chance it'll be done tomorrow. Where the major settling, all of them didn't need to be brought up to par. but-
One's really bad.
Yeah, and we ended up, as in the township, ended up putting a temporary coal patch into the one that was the worst. And they're gonna end up taking that out and bringing it up with regular asphalt.
Okay.
And we've been cleaning some ditches. We had the culvert straightening out to do today, where a tree had fallen in that windstorm, was it 2 weeks ago? And got that straightened out, got that taken care of. Everything's been running smoothly. Had a little mix-up, a little breakdown on the roadside mower last week, but we got that taken care of, and that's back up to par. And, regular maintenance is happening. It's all been running pretty smoothly.
Okay, good. And I saw the county on the ditch maintenance between the Angle and the Bat House did mow it since our last meeting.
Correct, yes.
Okay, you can see down the lanes now, so I think there was a heron picking out frogs there today.
Yes. They did end up finishing up to Stang Road with the angle ditch. The contractor did. I still see his dozer sitting there So he's probably got a little bit of touching up work to do here and there, but they do have straw. It's been seeded and strawed in the areas that needed the seed and straw. And, that had a deadline, but it needed to talk with the county on the deadline to go over the deadline with that, because they got messed around with weather as well. But I walked it, and it looks good. It looks real good. And all the dirt that they had to take away, they pretty much got to take it away locally. They didn't have to truck it out too far. Between Stang Road, the farmers' fields there, and on West Ridge Road, they got rid of some of it there. So it was all pretty close to get rid of all the spoils. And there was a lot of spoils that had to come out of that.
Yeah.
They got that taken care of. So I think just a little bit of straightening up here, there, whatever, and that'll be 100% completed.
Great. Yeah, it's unfortunate they have to take it away. Remember they used to just spread it right there, but the contract does call for hauling it away, and Pete says the EPA requires that.
Yeah.
All right, there any questions for Kevin?
No, I do not.
All right, thanks, Kevin. Okay, Linda's already gone. For Lorco, I guess the only thing I can report is there was a bid opening held for the sanitary sewer extension from Cinnamon Lakes to West Salem, but what was included in there was also the construction of a new building for the testing and operation, because the Utilities Association of Cinnamon Lakes somehow believed when this was turned over to Lorco that they got to keep the building. I don't know what they're going to use the building for, but we finally decided it wasn't worth fighting that. Well, so we had multiple bid packages pulled, we got no bids in. And the reason we've heard back from the bidders is because you had different people. You had those that want to construct buildings, and then you've got those that will do underground and will do sewer work. There wasn't an individual doing both. So there's discussion, since most of this is going to be funded with grant dollars, is to make sure that it still meets the eligibility of the grant applications, to see if we can do them as two separate bid processes. So one for the construction of infrastructure above ground, one for the construction underground.
What township is this in?
That's, I believe, Jackson Township for Cinnamon Lakes.
Oh, okay.
And so it'd be the same. This goes similar to where the way this relationship started is their own utilities office used to run their water and sewer, but they were having difficulties with the new requirements. Well, rural water came in, and that's how they've got their water corrected.
Okay.
And after they developed a comfort level there, is their association then actually approached Lorco, because they've got, the EPA had issued findings and orders, and they just had no way of handling it themselves. And so what Lorco did initially is temporarily handling the on-site wastewater treatment facility, in addition to the maintenance of all the lift stations, which have really been a problem. And but the change is going to be, some of those lift stations will get eliminated, not all of them, but some of them. The ones that are left will be upgraded, that are right on site with Cinnamon Lakes. But the intent is to get a gravity flow and a force main going to West Salem. West Salem's happy. This happens to be one of those rare occurrences where it works out for all the communities. Because West Salem's was under findings and orders. They needed to expand their plant, but expanding a plant, no additional customers, well, you know what that means. Huge rate increase on your existing customers. So this way, they're going to get an additional 500 customers coming in, so it keeps the cost down for their community. But by getting the majority of this covered by grants, though we don't have all of it yet, that'll minimize the increase on the residents in Cinnamon Lakes. There will be an increase, I don't recall the amount, but it is significantly less than what the increase would have been had they had to replace their on-site plant, which was what their association was looking at.
Right.
And that's when they realized this is not something that is even financially viable for the number of residents that are there. So that was where the approach was, what are their options going forward?
Okay, thank you for that, Neil.
Okay, as far as the Phase 2 stormwater management is, we've discussed this in the past, nothing's changed. We're still waiting on the MOU from the Lorraine County Board of Commissioners for the Batten House ditch restoration from roughly Oberlin Road up to Middle Ridge. But again, the county's holding off on those MOUs because they're hoping to leverage some of the funding from the federal infrastructure bill. I don't know if there's any questions on any of this. The complaints, I think, Denny, you said that Pile South Amherst flooding to take that off at the last meeting?
Yeah, take
didn't-
it off because the county's not going to do anything, and take it off.
I assume Mr. Watkins and the other individuals over there, or Watson and the other individuals are aware of
I
the
don't
county's
know if
position.
they're aware that the county's not going to do anything. I'll have to talk with Mr. Watson.
He seems to have the ear of the other residents there. Okay, with that, we've covered all the business that, oh, there is one other item, but we'll come into that we need to cover. For the unfinished business, is there anything the trustees need to bring forward for the areas of their specific responsibility?
No, I have nothing.
The only thing that I have is you have a copy of the solid waste grant application for the $7,831.25.
Right. Thanks for getting that in, David. And then the nice thing is the MOU is all concurrent then, so there's none of this waiting on anything, right?
No, for an
All
MOU.
right, well, appreciate the county's made that change because that's a lot less cumbersome than their old process. All right, if that's the case, there's only one other item under new business, and I don't see a need to go into executive session unless there's going to be further discussion on this, and this deals with the property maintenance issue at a property on Oberlin Road, which we refer to as the Dunphy property. Is that, as you heard in the previous minutes, there was a meeting, was that last Friday?
Yes.
That's so last Friday, and on the June 22nd is, actually the decision was on June 17th, is that Mr. Dunphy has been held in contempt of court. There are fines levied. It does appear they give the option if the defendant, Mr. Dunphy, can comply with the requirements of the original settlement agreement, that he might be able to avoid some of those fees. But, you know, time will tell if that gets completed.
Right. Keeping an eye on it. And
Okay.
he's making an effort, but I don't know if he'll make it a deadline or not.
Okay. And that's one, I assume you've got Sam up to date as to what's going on with this. I know it's a
Yes.
lot for Sam to pick up all at once.
Yeah, he's being made aware of all of it.
Okay.
Remy's doing a good job.
All right. Okay, is there any other business to come before the board?
Nothing at this time.
Anyone in the audience? Okay, then we've got our next regular meeting will be at 7:00 p.m. on Tuesday, July 12th. There won't be a need, based on our budget meeting this evening, for another budget meeting. Right, Chris? We should be able to go
Right into
address
it.
the 2023 budget during our regular meeting.
Correct.
And Kevin, no need for a work session yet, but we got to keep in mind, we're probably going to have to start requesting detailed estimates for the Oberlin Road resurfacing from Middle Ridge to North Ridge. I don't know if that's, would you like to put that request in to Sean, at least so he can start getting that going, and you'll have those discussions. He knows about, what the inflation's doing, but if he can give us a reasonable number, and I'll be meeting with Commissioner Lundy, that also will impact that project.
I will. I'll ask.
Great. Okay, then can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
Urick,
Yes.
Abraham,
Yes.
and Lynch.
Yes.